Hi, super scientists. So I need you to make sure you have printed out this graphic organizer. Today for science, we are going to dig in a little bit deeper to plants, but the question that we are going to think about and we are going to be able to answer by the end of this is, how do plants respond to the changing seasons? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you and I'm going to read you a little PowerPoint. Now, any information about each season, spring, summer, fall, and winter, that you think answers this, I want you to write down in the right category. And then we will go over it and check our work together. All right, so again, I'm going to read a lot of things on the PowerPoint. Not all of it's going to answer that question. So I'm going to say the question one more time. I want you to think about it. How do plants respond? So how do they act? What do they do when the seasons change? So what happens to the trees and the leaves and the flowers during each season? Okay, so that is your mission. You are writing down all the things that you can say yes, answer that question in the correct category. All right, so here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you. And that is our question. How do plants and animals, but we're not going to talk about animals today. So how do plants respond to the changing seasons? All right, well, here we go. The first season is spring. So on your graphic organizer where it says spring, I want you to write down, don't copy all this, only the things that talk about how the plants change. So in spring, the days are longer and there is more rainfall. Does that have anything to do with how the plants change? I think it helps them change, but that is not something we would write down. Leaves and flowers begin to grow. That'd be a good one. Seeds start to sprout. The weather is nice and warm for plants. And then the sap returns to tree branches. So I'm going to give you a hint. There were two good ones that you should have written down for spring. Okay? And if you don't have them written down, at least you had them in your mind. So when we fill out our graphic organizer in a couple minutes, you will be able to do that with me. All right, so moving on to the next season, my favorite, summertime. So again, there's a lot of information for summer, but you are only writing down the characteristics of how plants change during the summer. Okay, branches are thick with leaves. Fruit is growing but not ripe. Plants reach their full height. Summer days are the longest, which means more sunlight. Some plants may die from the heat, and many places have enough rain, but others might experience droughts. So that would probably go together with why some of the plants might die, right? Especially in Florida when there's not a lot of rain. A lot of plants die during the summertime. We have to do a lot more watering and turning on our sprinkler system. All right, so you should have some written down or in your memory bank so we can write them down in a few minutes. Let's move on to fall. So in fall, we might not experience a lot of these characteristics in Florida, but if you've gone up north, you've probably seen the leaves, how they change their colors. In fall, the days are shorter, which means there's not as much sunlight. Plants make less food and save energy. Leaves fall off the trees, hence the name fall. Sap moves into the roots, and seeds are ready to harvest. So what were a couple that you could have written down, or you're going to write down, store them in your brain if you didn't get to write them down yet? And then my least favorite season, winter. So this is really interesting. So when there's really cold weather, frost comes and it forms over the plants And actually, it keeps the plants, seeds, and roots safe from the cold. Interesting. I did not know that. Many trees lose their leaves and fruit, but the roots are safe underground. Many plants die, and there is little to no growth. All right? So that was a quick little review of what happens for each season. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up my graphic organizer, and we're going to write down all that stuff that you've stored in your brain. I hope you're ready. All right, here we go. And give me 1 second, because it does not like to do it. All right, so for spring, what could we write? What happens during spring? Do you remember? Well, the seeds start to sprout, right? So under spring, let's write seeds start to sprout. And that is actually what this picture is. The seed is starting to sprout. Okay? What else happens to the plants? What do they grow in the spring? Many plants grow what? Leaves, right? And what else? Flowers. So remember I said there were 2 from that one. So I would agree that those are the 2 you should have written down. All right, what about summer? Do you remember, what do plants start to grow in the summer? Some plants start to grow fruit in the summertime. And then what about on trees, the branches? What do the branches look like? Are they empty or are they filled with leaves? So the branches are thick with leaves. All right, so 2, we should be good. I'm happy with that. Let's think about fall. What happens up north that might not necessarily really happen in Florida with the leaves? That they change colors, right? So some trees' leaves change color. What else? The name fall helps us remember that the leaves start to what? They start to fall off. And then in fall, do the plants keep growing like crazy? No, they start to slow down. And do you know why they start to slow down? To save energy. Okay, and then what about in the winter? Well, we know in the fall they're starting to lose their leaves. And even in Florida in the winter time, the tree loses all their leaves normally. And if they had any fruit, the fruit is gone now. Okay, so because there's not a lot of sunlight and because it's so cold, do the plants stay alive? Oh, a lot of plants die. And that kind of makes me think about in the summertime. Did we talk about that? Do some plants die because of what? The heat? So we might want to add that one. Plants die from the heat. All right, anything else you can think about in the winter time? So if you think about in fall, the plants slow down growing, they save energy. In the winter, do you think they're starting to grow again? No, there is little or no growth. Okay, so that is a pretty good answer to our question, how do plants respond to the changing seasons? Hang on to this because tomorrow you will be able to use that to help you with a little quiz that you're going to take, okay? All right, I will talk to you later. Bye.